Yemo bibi akwa ba na yemfombra yem platform ni so ayeye. Abusia Dr Zaato political analyst. Sansona lawyer Martin Kpebu private legal practitioner. Owura we na OSP akwachi na sisi wenya asem no. Ena yewura Abraham Amaliba one of NDC legal council members na baako. Ena Solomon Owusu clâshed on key points Alfred Okansi ni show no so TV3. Na na debate about Kpandai rerun. Some beka nche na court, Supreme Court to be precise. Eruli kwashe the verdict coming from Tamale High Court. Ananka 30th of this December ya. Ye machi akwo Kpandai na yakoye rerun wo hono. But now me no say as it stands now no. Yinim da yebeko sa ye rerun. Na Supreme Court the verdict on the bar mountain so. Mobeka NPP for especially Abraham Martin can be edified Supreme Court no Kangaroo Court any all sort of harsh words edema but verdict we bar mountain no. In fact, a lot of people are NPP for na nkasa omu lawyers eba mountain so because say Supreme Court no almost show some kind of respect to the to the populace. I believe say now things are being restored. About hope I said enough first. Obi di national court news because when you say many Muslim and share na abu editiano. But then that kind of lost hope has been restored. Young corner yinti in seman painful a candy farm and send the more can be papa and a measure. So we should be under general teams and we say, Mashada Kati Honum. Say, I will so bet me be a team, a simplify inti. Meso say Bokono Kuti answer. Chirawa being a comment session. Mahanum still remains your number one authentic platform. Nabusi and Mumfanchem is answering whom background as a blue light in a dose of degree, mini studio, but Mumfanchem, Yunkotin in the cover better.
In law, it's not logic that 1 + 1 will automatically lead to 2. No, sometimes 1 + 1 will lead to 3, like in in management, synergies, right? So sometimes the decisions vary, but as we sit across, there are 3 lawyers here. You can't point out, okay, in law, that automatically once you file an application for certiorari, it should stop the EC from working. That's not law. So, Mr. Counsel, let's get that very clear. No lawyer can show that because you merely filed an application, and what I have seen here is the application for certiorari. It doesn't they have motion on notice for judicial review in the nature of certiorari. Simple. It doesn't have a stay of execution component here. Okay? So, and the Supreme Court, what they do is that it's selective. It's based on a case-by-case basis. Okay. So it's not wrong that the EC went ahead. There's nothing wrong because the Supreme Court itself that gives the guidance. Because sometimes you would wait, then they say, but you have an important matter to deal with, go ahead. We were here when Oliver Bakavomawo filed against the e-levy. What didn't government do? They rode roughshod, went ahead and implemented e-levy because we were told that we're going to raise billions and billions and billions, and so there would be jobs and jobs and jobs. And you see, because it was very attractive and the teeming youth, unemployed youth, etc., were expectant, you see that the argument of government sounded very cogent. And you, who born dog, if you spoke against it, then it appeared that you didn't want the young people to get jobs. We went ahead, implemented e-levy, notwithstanding proceedings in the Supreme Court. Where did we land? We landed in a ditch. E-levy never was the e-levy that Oforiatta projected that it was. And today, where is Oforiatta? It's fled the jurisdiction. So you see, I can give you 1,001 examples of situations in which cases have been filed in the Supreme Court, and yet public officers have gone on. So for this one that the Supreme Court has stopped the EC, it's okay. In law, we say the life of the law is not logic. It is one of experience. And so for me, the key thing is that you won't find one lawyer who would come and open the law books, right, and tell you that, this thing is no-brainer. This is first principles. Once a case has been filed in the Supreme Court, automatically you should stop. Mr. Cancer, I'm telling you that you won't find one lawyer who will say automatically. Right. It depends on the circumstances. And like somebody said, it's like the experience of the 6 blind men who had to touch an elephant. One touched the husk, another the ears, and then the various parts. So each person described the elephant differently. That's the way law is. So, and the judges, as they said, they have different ideologies, all right? Mm-hmm. And each case is different. Each case is unique. No 2 cases are the same. So we would not make much of the fact that the Supreme Court said the EC should stop. Let's go to the merits. Because before then, look, they will tell you, okay, let me cite one case a bit. There are many. But you see, Republic versus High Court, ex-party CN Goldfields, where the Supreme Court made a distinction between an application for supervisory jurisdiction, so like what has been filed here, and an application for stay of proceedings or that. So the main thing we're saying is that if a High Court, if it had anything to do, should automatically stop. No. So even the court itself, so like what they filed in the Supreme Court, if there was still anything in the High Court and the judge wanted to continue, sometimes you continue and then they go to the Supreme Court, then we all, including myself, we will go and then we lose. So it's not automatic. Let's get that very clear. So that it's not as if there was one clear law that, hey, once any paper has been filed in the Supreme Court, stop. There's no such law. It depends on what has been filed, the contents of it. And I'm saying that what was filed in the Supreme Court is just an application for certiorari. It's an application that by itself is not an application for stay of execution. That's the one that, if you saw it, then you would say that, hey, they say stay of execution, at least try and respect it. That's stronger. At least that, I'm talking about what I've seen. So if and even the stay of execution itself, you see that there are issues with it. That nowadays, when you file it, still the matter of public officer. But what I'm saying that what I've seen from the Supreme Court is an application for judicial review specifically. When we say certiorari, to make it in simple terms, what the person is saying is that the High Court has made a big mistake, so big that we don't need to use appeal. You see that when you are going to do an appeal takes long. Right. You have to file process, you have to copy everything that happened in the High Court, make it into a book, serve the other party 3 weeks to respond. This other person has 21 days, 21. Then after they say, so in simple terms, when you are doing an appeal, it's long. But this certiorari application, quick, within 1 month, 2 months, they are done, right? So I'm making the point that we do it when the mistake is very big. So in this case, see, the NPP is saying that the petition was filed after 21 days. That's their case. We'll wait for the Supreme Court to decide. So they are saying that election petitions, you file within 21 days after the Gazette notification. Yes. So NPP is saying no, in this case, it went beyond 21 days. Okay. So if you fall outside that time, it should not be entertained at all. So because it's such a huge mistake, all right, that's how come they've applied for certiorari, right? And I'm saying that, yes, you can apply for, but it doesn't automatically mean that the EC should stop. If you want EC to stop automatically, you know what to file. What has been filed doesn't automatically stop the EC. I think let's just distinguish it. The EC out of, what do you call it? Courtesy, just saying that, well, what do we lose? It's just in any event, the NDC has a huge super majority, 2/3, etc. I could have said we'll wait, right? But you see, there was also pressure. So for me, really, looks like we're spending too much time on it. When maybe we should be spending more time on Galamsey, looking at the efforts Naimos is making. Because for us in law, it's almost nothing. It's just a lot of noise about, EC is being asked to stop. It's nothing. It's nothing at all.
What you have done was just to also put an understanding. What you have done is actually confirming and complementing the reason why this has to be discussed. What you have just done.
Okay, cool. Okay. Cool. Want to see more on the Galamsey fight? What about this?
We talked about it, and I because you have expatiated your point in a way that does not downplay the essence of this matter. I didn't want you to even end by questioning why we are discussing it.
Oh, no, I mean like the way I get it.
You get it?
Yes, yes. See, okay, that part is withdrawn. I get that side. What I do is that it's so simple in law that, okay, I get it.
Well, but now the decision has been taken. And in fact, let me just put it in context that this decision by the courts to ask the Electoral Commission to halt the preparation was predicated on the granting of the request for substituted service. Because at the time, the NDC candidate had not been served.
Yeah.
And the position of the lawyers for Martin Yandam was that he was evading service. And the Electoral Commission had not even entered appearance. And that's why the presiding judge on this particular case indicated that why should the EC go ahead to prepare for an election when there is a case that it has not even entered appearance.
No, they say the appearance, like they've not filed their responses, their response, not specific appearance, because appearance can be a technical word. Let's leave it out. So they've not filed their response.
And so that's one of the concerns that they raised in there. That's the only other reason why there has been this decision to put the preparations on hold. Yeah. It brings the matters into context, you see. So then you explaining that the Electoral Commission couldn't have been stopped. It's inked in law. That case you reference of the Republic versus High Court, the ex parte, this the Sian Goldfields matter. I just stop like bringing out a point because it's a seminal authority on this, on the legal effect of a nullity and the boundaries of the High Court's own jurisdiction when it comes to whether or not a statutory body can be stopped by the mere application that has actually been filed at a particular court. You recall that last week, Nelson Roxon Dafemopo referenced the current state of, and the court say that to the extent that one party has not been served, put everything on hold. Right, and you also come because you are a party to the case, and let's hear you out. That's what has led to this development now. I thought that I should put that matter in context before.
Actually, it's not entirely accurate, a true reflection of what happened. What happened was rather that in filing the application for certiorari, the applicants, that's the NPP side,
Martin Yandam,
filed in addition an application for the suspension of the elections. So this is what the public probably do not know. There was an application, a formal application, but that formal application is coming on the 13th. The return date is on the 13th of January. I think this fact is not known. So the Supreme Court didn't so moto suspend. But one way or the other, you can still say that because the application has not been heard yet. So on the basis of the filed application for the suspension, the Supreme Court accepted that once that application was pending, then it was just right and proper to suspend the rerun of the election until the return date, which is on the 13th of January. So this is what actually happened. Now, if you heard my interview on that day, I expressed a lot of surprise about the intervention of the Supreme Court. It is not something that you see often. It was a huge shock for me, not a negative one for that matter, but rather the fact that you do not see the Supreme Court doing this very often. And so when Martin said that indeed, as for the Supreme Court, they can do all kinds of things, it is right. That's what they do. I mean, they can put a very surprise one on you at any given point in time. Mind you, remember, per their constitution, the Supreme Court is not bound by anything. And so you do not go there expecting, I mean, there's a legitimate expectation that if a decision has been given in a particular way, when you go there, you expect them to reaffirm that decision. But don't be surprised if they go the opposite direction, because that is what the Supreme Court is made of. And so it is on the basis of this application that I said that the Supreme Court did this thing. And I described the decision as a wise one and a very good one. And I reaffirmed that on the basis that we have an election to be run on the 30th of December. There is an application for certiorari. Now, the effect of that application for certiorari are only two. One, either to quash the entire judgment of the court that gave rise to the rerun, or to affirm that decision. Well, not technically not to affirm, but to reject the application, in which case the rerun would go on. What sense would it make for you to run the election on the 13th, on the 30th, have an MP elected, and then just 2 days later, in fact, a few weeks later, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, have a decision that could throw out that decision of the High Court, for which reason the MP was elected? Now, in effect, what it means is that you could have an MP for just 2 weeks. Now, whose time are you wasting? What kind of sense does it make? However, of course, if the decision goes the opposite way and the new MP remains in office, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
But you cannot take chances. So when the Supreme Court says wait until just 13, this is barely 2 weeks, 13th or 16th, whichever date the court decides on these matters, you would be thinking that at this point the Supreme Court is being more reasonable and more practical with the events emanating from the High Court's decision. This is more practical, this is more logical. It is a savings to our resources of any kind. And I commend the Supreme Court for doing that. Now, let's remember that even though I'm hesitant to say this, but this is not the kind of Supreme Court that you would have witnessed even a year ago. A year ago, you wouldn't have ever met this kind of Supreme Court. Say it again.
Okay, no. So, make your point. Continue.
That's part of my.
And that is unfair. Let me not take the
out of myself.
Seriously, this is unbelievable. That so for the first time, I felt so good that for once we have a completely independent Supreme Court that is more in tune with the sentiments of the nation than it is with the interests of individuals and political parties. And for that, I commend the Supreme Court emphatically for that kind of decision.
See, and you see, this development of what the Supreme Court has done regarding the such statement that was even attributed to the presiding judge on this particular issue. And gentlemen, you are being heard, so please. Yes. On why certain things were even being done even when there was a pending application. As I told, bring you in here because whether or not this election will take place is one that at least is been determined now. The lawyers for the NDC candidates say their client was not evading service and that were the court bailiffs that could not find him. I want to quickly get an update whether Amaliba, your candidate has been served now after the granting of statutory service by the court.
I have no information on that.
There's no information on that. Dr. Zaato, on this.
Yeah, no, it was something that Justice Ablai said that piqued my
But don't
interest.
forget that it has now been ordered subsidiary service. So
Yes.
once that is done, wherever he is, he has been served.
Okay, thank you.
It was something that he said that piqued my interest, of course. Because he said the fact that the Supreme Court did not want, for instance, them to conduct the elections. What if you conduct the elections and then after that, the Nyendam wins the case? So I think, was that not the argument of the Tokono and her lawyers? Wasn't that the same argument they made? That if you, no, I'm just trying to see. That's something I'm asking.
Allow me to help as I allow you to help.
I'm trying to.
No, wait. No, gentlemen, please.
Oh.
If you ask the question, do you want a clarification?
Yes, from him. I don't mind. I mean, he's superior to me when it comes to these things. I don't mind him teaching.
But why are you importing the?
No, because I'm saying it's a principle. He made a principle that, that if it is not, let me know that. Right. Probably why the Supreme Court made this ruling was because the Supreme Court could have said, okay, if the elections was held on 31st, okay, and then later there was a ruling that says that that in favor of Nyendam, we would have wasted resources and time electing a candidate, but it never have been for right.
Yeah. That's his reason.
Yeah, that's his reason. So I'm trying to feed on that, or I shouldn't.
Yes.
Then wasn't that the same argument or a similar argument that lawyers for Tokunu were making? That look, there are still cases in court challenging this thing. So why can't we wait for the termination of those cases before we proceed? So that if right now, I think the last leg of the case is the ECOWAS Supreme. If the ECOWAS rules in Hefe, what happens? I think, is it not a similar thing? You see, yes.
Hold on. So you see, hold on.
No, actually, that's not even the answer to that. The answer is not about whether the Supreme Court can change their minds or not. The answer is because the variables are completely different. Completely different. Now, let me give you 100 instances why they are different. You can. First, Tokunu's application was based on an appeal. First, it was on an appeal. Second, based on an application at the Supreme Court. All of which were, if you like, in fact, the Supreme, the court, what's it called, the ECOWAS court, was a court of first instance. It would mean that it would take forever. Only God knows when it will be done. So, do we wait until, let's say, 5 years before we have a Chief Justice? Clearly, that would not make any sense. Or relative to this one, we are dealing with just 2 weeks or 1 week. They are two different things.
So if let's say if ECOWAS rules today in favor of Tokunu,
Dr. Zaato, you know what? Hold on, gentlemen. So all of this is part of your time.
You see what Amaliba is doing, right? You see what he's doing. No. I want to put that. I am saying that part of this people are learning. So I'm saying that. Okay, you know what? It's okay. Listen. No. I just want to. Yes, I've said that because people are listening, and maybe there are people to whom we want to. Hold on. I am doing this, and I do this. So I'm saying.
Okay, gentlemen, hold on.
Okay, let's go. Let me go ahead.
So the reason why I asked you whether you would want an answer to your question is that it was going to be part of your submission.
I don't
and
mind.
that's why when you ceded,
good. Yes, that was why I was having a conversation with Justice.
Have you gotten your clarity now? You can
I've got my clarity.
Okay,
I've got my clarity. I can go. I can go.
No,
I've got to my clarity now. Thank you. Let's go. You see, where I come from, the gods hate nonsense. Where I come from, the gods hate injustice. Where I come from, the gods hate bullies. And that is why you realize that when they were looking for this man to save him, he ran away and went and hid in his village. And that is why the gods sent beasts there to go and deliver justice. I am making my presentation.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that when the NDC people went to Kpandai to go and campaign, instead of receiving this, and the God sent beasts there, and the beasts attacked them. It's spirituality. Oh, they said did beasts attack them or the beasts attack them?
No.
Yes, exactly.
Hold on.
No. Wait. I am. You see,
you see,
I am saying that there's a connection between the beast attack and injustice and unfairness.
But Oforiatta has gone to the US.
Yes. Also send them. Your village should have gone. You send the beast to attack you. What's the problem?
You see,
I can make my. I am doing that. If you allow me, I'll just make that case.
Yes, I was just going to.
Thank you.
See, you don't have to marry two very separate events.
No, I don't think they are separate. My presentation is that they are not separate. My presentation is that injustice and unfairness is being done, and the gods said they are wrapped as beasts to come and teach them a lesson. That's part of my presentation.
How do you even ascertain that?
I have done that. I'm telling you that I've just told you that when the gods are angry, they can send rain, they can send tender, they can send beasts. They send beasts to evict justice on injustice going to happen. So that's for them. Secondly, how did we get to where we are today with regards to this? I've made this case again and again. Violence tends to beget violence. We came here because of violence at the Coalition Center in Kpandai.
Okay.
And my point has always been, throughout this week, I've been making this point that whatever we do, the courts will do their own thing. But whatever we do, either through policy or through any law we make, we need to be able to remove violence from our election centers. We need to make sure that Kpandai doesn't become a case study or a test case of how to win an election through the back door. We need to make sure that we don't reward hooliganism and vandalism at the coalition centers, because that is what brought us here. Somebody wants to ask a case. That is what, if there wasn't violence at the coalition center, if the people didn't make it impossible to do the coalition there, we wouldn't have been where we are today. And anybody, all of us must find a way to make sure that this Kpandai doesn't become the test case of how to conduct elections or how to collect election results going forward. It's important for us, because if we don't do that, we'll make sure that we are glorifying violence. Okay. There's another issue that I talked about, and probably, again, on this case, so I don't mind ceding my case to justice. There's talk about 2 Gazette dates. Possible 2 Gazette dates. There's supposed to be a Gazette date on the 24th. And then there's another Gazette date. Yeah. So I'm saying, the non-lawyer me saying that if you go to court and you now present 2 Gazette dates, yes. Like how does that work?
No, these are matters before court, and that is the matter that is going to be determined. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean by because so we can't talk about it?
No. So there's actually
those are the issues.
Those
are the issues.
So I cannot talk about the issues before court.
Hold on.
Yes. No.
When you were talking the last time,
you are just interested in what I'm saying. You see, there's something happened. I want you to talk. The Supreme Court.
Hold on. Listen to me.
Thank you. Listen to me. If the Supreme Court is supposed to hold somebody, you are the one you see what?
You see, now, first of all, Amaliba, if you want to make an intervention, I do not want you to interrupt Dr. Dr. Joshua Zaato when he's talking. One, because it is his time. When I ask questions, I would give him additional time to talk. But please, let him finish his submission.
But don't
I will come to you. The point you are raising, yes, the point you are raising is not one that was not going to be raised, because he was in the process of asking a question. Then you came in. I wanted him to learn to understand the import of the question, whether it would go into the realms of contempt. Because if he goes into the realms of contempt, it's not only him. It's even the platform here.
So
that will also be held. So what I wanted to get is the import of your question. Dr. Zaato?
Yes.
If your question borders on the matter that is to be determined in this application by Matthew Nyandam in court, then it is out of our boundaries. We cannot talk about it. Dr.
Well, we cannot discuss the merits, but we can talk about it.
But the question borders on what the court is to make a determination on. That's what I said.
Sure.
That we can't go into. So if you want to rephrase the question,
I am saying that I have a document here.
Yes, indeed. We've all seen
that parliamentary election results 2024, talking about a Gazette date on 24. I'm saying that I have that document.
Yes.
I've also then said that there is talk in the vineyard that there is possibly a second Gazette date. In my non-loyally mind, I'm saying that presents us 2 Gazette dates. Sure. That probably the courts now have to determine. That's what I'm saying. So in that case, there are 2 Gazette dates. I am not saying that raises a potential issue that which one should I take, which one shouldn't I take?
But that's a matter before the court.
Yeah. So
move on.
The entire Kpandai election is centered on that issue.
So
it's a big issue that has been. So again, as I said, finally, look, this ruling, there's something unique about this Supreme Court ruling that both political parties seem to be happy with it. They're both happy with it. One, I've heard Director of Elections for the NDC actually happy.
Well, I was attacked on the day the decision was made because I commended the Supreme Court. Yeah,
and I'm saying there's something funny about it because mostly I believe that the Supreme Court picks, mostly courts pick winners and losers. In this case, since they are both winners.
Yeah, actually
because
they are.
The NDC is happy that they're happy. They're saying, look, this gives us more time to organize the ruling and do that. I've actually heard the Director of Elections state that equivocally. 2, the Nyandam gets to still sit in Parliament. He's there, but also, as a political science, have a good day. Current polling, and I'm going to cite Global Info Analytics, actually indicating.
I think that is a little misleading.
Okay. The elections are okay. If the course of it currently,
because it is the rerun that has been suspended, not the decision.
Okay,
of the
I get a point. Thank you for that clarification. But right now, what is supposed to happen is that so the NDC seems to be happy with the ruling because, as I said, the Director of Elections said that we are happy with this. It goes to the NPP. You've seen their lawyers also happy with it, but also current polling, and I'm going to cite Global Info Analytics, actually seems to demonstrate that Nyandam has crossed the 50% barrier to be NP if it was held today. So it will seem that current polling is using people. The people there like him, they respect him, and they value him. So if you were going by the Global Info Analytics, it then means that he was on his way to go to win the election. So by the delay, it then means that because the election are going to happen now, it may inure to the benefit of the because they get to get more time to campaign. Okay. That's what I'm saying, that this ruling seems a little bit weird because both people are celebrating the same ruling. Now, it also means that maybe the adults have spoken, and sometimes that is what I think the Supreme Court should do. Should be the adults in the room. To raise that the debate and the arguments to a place higher, a place where people can better appreciate it. And I think they've done so. The question is that, look, going forward, as I said, it will be the judges should be the lawyers, and the courts will deal with it. Okay. But we shouldn't let our elections almost end up at the courts, because something is happening here. If we go ahead with this, remember, something happened on 7th December 2024. Thousands of men and women, mothers, children, fathers left their jobs, left their lives to queue up to vote. We shouldn't just throw away all their votes as if nothing has happened.
Okay.
We shouldn't just, because there should be a fundamental principle that the votes must be protected, the ballots must be protected. If we don't, because, and look, and if you look at it, the argument started with that there were issues with about some 41 polling stations. Let's call those the rotten tomatoes or the rotten eggs. We shouldn't throw away all the other good eggs just because of this 51 freedom. So me, I will be happy. I will hope and pray that those people who voted, look, some of them are dead, but they died knowing that they voted for somebody. Some of them are what's the name? Some of them have traveled, they may not go back to vote. A lot has happened during that time. We should always be seen to be protecting the people who have voted. We should always be seen to be protecting votes, and we should always be seen to be hoping, because that is the whole essence of democracy. So I would love a system where, wake up to a system where judges and the courts become very reluctant to throw away good meat, in this case, good votes, together with one bad case. In that case, we are making the vote sacred. Basically, we are protecting it. So I want to see that this means that we need to go to place. But finally, let's not glorify hooliganism and violence. That is what happened in Kpandai, and that is what has led us to where we are today.
Well, yes, and then that correction had been made as to the burden, or who carries the burden of that said violence that disrupted it. I think that clarification was put out last week and last 2 weeks. It does not in any way have to be countenanced. But you see, Amaliba, the courts have made a pronouncement which both sides acknowledge. But then whether or not the election that took place in December 2024 holds is yet to be determined. And that is in the next phase of this particular case playing out. So what happened last week does not in any way legitimize the election on December 7th in Kpandai, does it?
You mean the court
yes.
Saying that the issue should stay away?
Yes.
No. There's a substantive court ruling now. That is what is in force. Was the EC wrong in proceeding? The answer is no. Was the Clerk of Parliament wrong in proceeding? The answer is no. My basis is Article 1125, and it says this. And this provision speaks in authoritative terms. It speaks in mandatory terms. Whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the clerk to Parliament shall, that's the first shall, notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and by election shall be another shall be held within 31 days after the vacancy occurred. So there was no way that persons who have been mentioned here would breach the Constitution.
Right.
There was no way. Now, in the kind of legal system we run, that is the common law tradition that we belong to.
Amaliba, hold on. Gentlemen, please. I would appreciate if we don't have any side conversations while somebody's on the floor. Amaliba, please.
So, these institutions, Parliament and the EC, never erred by proceeding after they got the ruling, because the Constitution demands that they do so. In our legal jurisprudence, the common law tradition that we belong to, not the civilian law tradition, which is also called civil law, but the common law tradition. The law is what the judge says is the law. Unlike the civil law tradition, where it says that the law is what the legislature says it is. You understand? In our case, And you remember there was a matter before Parliament when we were saying it was providing the constitution that if you are presiding, you don't vote. Black and white is there like that.
Yeah.
It's there. You didn't need any interpretation. But once the Supreme Court said that if you are presiding and you are a member of Parliament, you can. So it is today. An example of what I'm saying, that the law is what the judges say it is. So could the EC just stop all the processes because somebody was on the Iroko tree crying that stop the elections? No. You needed a court order such as this to stop the elections. And when you check me on Joy, they reported me. Kpandai elections impasse. Abraham Amaliba urges Supreme Court intervention. And so this intervention for me is what I wanted. I asked the question, should a constitutional duty come to a halt if processes are filed as a way to stop the constitutional body? This is the kind of ruling I want the Supreme Court to give us. Let the Supreme Court tell us that when a vacancy occurs and the EC is preparing to go to have by-elections and the vanquished party files processes, must that stop the constitutional body? This is what I want the Supreme Court to rule on.
Okay.
You get my point?
I see.
But there are three types of judges or courts. There are three types of judges or courts. We have the green. The red light approach are those who say that there is a human rights issue here. And that's what he spoke about. Jesabla spoke about. That what happens if in 3 days the court rules out and the election has taken place? What happens to his rights? What happens to the one who went to the Supreme Court and won? By which time the place would have been occupied. So you have a court that uses the red light approach. The red light approach. Then you have the green light approach, who says that, look, we want things to go, we want things to happen, we want the government to continue its good work, we don't want the government to be stopped. I think that would have been one of the approaches used for the e-levy. You know, and in Nkrumah's days, some of these rulings were like that. Green light. Look, we are an independent country. We have just come. Why are you stopping development? So you can have a court like that. Then you have a court that marries the two. That's the amber light. So the Supreme Court in this case used the green light approach to say that there's a human rights issue. Can we hold on to see the determination of that matter before the EC goes on to conduct its elections? The human rights is about your man's name, Nyindam's, yeah, it's about Nyindam's human rights. How do we ensure that if he wins this case, he doesn't come to a constituency that has already been occupied?
Right.
So the other thing too has to do with this court trying to claw back.
The court would have a reserved jurisdiction to make consequential orders, reversing the elections, and then in overturning the decision, questioning the decision of the High Court, reaffirm the MPship, if you like, of Nyindam.
I agree with you.
Should that happen?
Yeah, I agree with you, but we don't want to get there.
Obviously
it's
not. It is completely wrong.
It's muddying the waters and all.
It is not the kind of thing anyone expects.
So, but I can see, and that's how come you don't appoint rabid political persons to the Supreme Court. You have a situation where I can tell you, and Abdullah said it, this ruling wouldn't have happened under a previous reign before. The last 8 years, even for the EC to appear in a witness box, that EC was shielded. I can see the current Supreme Court trying to claw back the independence, trying to claw back the confidence that people have in the Supreme Court. And I dove my heart for the Supreme Court's ruling, because this is how we build a judiciary system that people can have confidence in. I saw the NPP's lawyer, Fatima, thanking the Supreme Court, thanking the judges, and I asked myself, was that the kind of Supreme Court we had? When I used to go to that court and I speak to them, when I was speaking, was I thanking them? When I used to also speak like the way they were speaking, and there were cameras, could I have thanked them? So I think that the current Supreme Court must continue in this fashion.
Okay.
When we said that we're going to reset, it wasn't for the Supreme Court to come and be giving us rulings left, right, center when we didn't deserve it. It was to have a Supreme Court that will serve the people of this country. And I dove my heart for them.
Thank you very much. And so also on this particular issue, in the end, what has to be done right is to determine the sanctity and eligibility of the entire process and the outcome of it, which is being contested now. That is what is the concern of both the courts and the people in Kpandai, that whoever represents them has to be legitimate. Exactly. That should be the ultimate outcome in this, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I'm very surprised that the very reasons Zaato cited for the Supreme Court to consider not to, as it were, grant a rerun must be the very reason there has to be a rerun. People wake up very early in the morning to go and queue, to go and vote for a particular candidate. Now, it is the wish of the people that the very particular candidate they voted for must represent them. It cannot be that having voted for that particular person, then a single person who is supposed to work in the interest of the state will go and hide somewhere and change the will of the people. That amounts to coup d'etat. So if such situations happen, why would anybody say that the person that has been cheated has no right to go to court and seek equity? It must interest you. In fact, you must be the person to be encouraging civil people who believe in civility, not to be resorting to violence, but rather challenge election outcomes in court. And when their cases are proven, then either the elections are cancelled or the rerun is called. So I agree with what the candidate Zala did, and I believe that the right thing was that. What happened at the High Court? All of us here, at least I have seen some of the exchanges. And I dare say that anybody who is sitting in the comfort of his home and blaming the judge, Justice Plange, for doing something untoward, I don't know where he's coming from. And I keep hearing my brother Zaato use the example of the bees as representing untruthfully. And then these bees are not serious bees. These bees are just village bees, discriminatory bees. Because who gave the judgment? Why would the bees forgo the judge that gave the ruling that there has to be a rerun and go and attack the NDC that took part in an election? So you cannot say that.
The judge is in Tamale.
The judge, so the bees cannot go there.
Kpandai bees. They are Kpandai bees.
You understand?
Yes.
The judge must be commended. If you go into the case, the judge did what is right, and that if anybody believes that he won a legitimate election, that person must be willing to go for a rerun, so that all of us will be safe. But Alfred, we cannot say this or discuss this matter without calling for the prosecution of the returning officer who has brought us to this far. This is becoming one too many. You understand? We had that of Ablekuma North. Election returning officer, the short-term nurse, at the end of the day, we discussed it and we let go of them. So they are emboldened. We saw that at Isawam. We saw that in, what's the name, Obuasi's, and so on and so forth. We don't do anything to them. Now what they have done, if a rerun should happen, it means it is causing financial loss to the state, because the state is going to invest in this man. Now coming back to the New Patriotic Party and their lawyers and what they have said, you see, in this country, it's good that we all have life and wait for what happens in the future. A couple of months ago, we were in this country when these NPP and their MPs decided to boycott the vetting of Justice Bafuboni. You were in this country. What did they say? They said Justice Bafuboni was going to do the bidding of the current administration. Which Chief Justice empaneled the judges to sit on this matter?
Tokonu.
Was it Tokonu or Afenyo Markins?
Make your point.
I'm just asking a question. The Chief Justice that empaneled the judges for the judges to do justice to the matter that received a thunderous applause from Fatima Abubakar, and I'm quoting her. We are still our most profound gratitude. That was the word she used. Most profound. We were in this country during the committee hearing, Tokonu's hearing, that the NPP took Justice Korpoaman to the cleaners. He and Justice Asiedu. Interestingly, these two judges sat on this matter.
Well, just to give the Justice Gabriel Scott Poaman was the presiding.
Absolutely.
Actually. Then you had the other members, Justices Isifu Imoro Tanko Amadu, Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kolendi,
Yes.
Justice Samuel Kwame Adobe Asiedu,
Yes.
and Justice Henry Kofi.
And let's put it on record that Justice Korpoaman that presided and Justice Asiedu were members of the committee that sat on Tokonu's case, that the NPP took them to the cleaners. Here is the NPP once again, led by their lawyers, praising them. And by the way, a couple of weeks ago, what did Afenyo not do? Classifying the judiciary as a kangaroo judiciary. Saying that the judge that sat on the matter in Tamale was only doing the bidding of his purposes. Is the NPP saying that what Poaman and Co did was to do the bidding of the paymasters, and here who are the paymasters? We have just been told that in Kofodia, Asiedu Bekwe, Protozua, has been declared as the validly elected parliamentary candidate for where? In Sawom. Is it not under Justice Bafuboni? Suhum, exactly. So you see, we are reshaping the system. It is for all of us to help in this matter. And not a situation where Afenyo could go to court at 12 o'clock, by 3 o'clock he had an answer. Chief Justice throwing his hands about as if it didn't matter in this country. We have all lived in this country. And we saw what happened. And I believe that once they go on this tangent, all we want as a country is to get justice when we go to the courts. And not that justice will be discriminated against people whose faces do not look good or do not belong to political parties that are perceived to be the political party of the Chief Justice. And that is what we are preaching for. In terms of Kpandai, I have said time with that number that the moment they call for a rerun, it will be an emphatic victory for the NDC, unless they don't know election. I have said I'm a United Party member. The wave that is blowing is the NDC's wave. We can't stop it now. We will have to stop it in 2028. But for now, you can't do anything about it. You understand? So, this business of info analytics is saying it is 50.1, it is this. If it is the case, I have listened to Ninam who says that if the NDC was going to stop all their CEOs, MPs, ministers from going to Kpandai to campaign and assure a level playing field, then he will win. And I asked him a simple question. Did the NPP stop all their MPs, ministers, CEOs from going to Asin North? In fact, in the case of Asin North, the president of the land was there to campaign. So go there and sort it out. And if you believe indeed you won by 3,700 plus votes, what is your fear? The same voter population, the same register. Human beings by now only 10% have left the place. So you still have a substantial number of voters available to vote for you. But there used to be an advert that says if you say you are macho, go and break the echo. Go to Kpandai and break it. I believe that the only way that they could survive is when the Supreme Court says that. We are waiting for the outcome of the Supreme Court verdict.
As we await the coming days on this particular issue, a number of you have sent us messages on this. So let me just clear it so that we move to the next matter. It says that the courts, Dr. Kwame Asante says, good morning. The courts must indeed be commended for this particular development. It is the consistency of the law being the law that we must see and not subject to any prejudices. You say thank you. Mohammed from Salaga says, good morning. What it says, the first part of your message. Okay, Mohammed Salaga, if you could resend the message again, because I couldn't get the real import of it. But thank you anyway. This one says, Alfred, for Agric to benefit the nation properly relative to the economy and employment, this time round, Ministry of Agric must set up a parallel structure like having kiosks or containers within cities, get direct contact with some farmers for constant supply of food items like yam, tomatoes, plantain, pepper, etc. Hence, that would direct to the buyers and people who need them, not market women. You say, okay, well, thank you very much for the message. Says, finally, seasonal farming must be a thing of the past because it escalates price of food items. Papa Bishi from Springtex Road. Thank you very much. Richmond Dogbe. Richmond Dogbe is a farmer himself. In fact, one of the farmers who has been awarded in the past for the best farming as well. Richmond Dogbe says, please ask Dr. Zaato whether he's expecting price of maize to go up when there is bumper harvest and enough of the maize in the market. Again, how many new houses were built during the 8 years of NPP? Farming existed long before 2017 arrived. So he should get his analysis right. Richmond, thank you very much for your message. And so, Kpebu, I asked of your hat earlier. Crystal Aye says, this is a fedora cloth hat. Fedora hats identified by their bespoke uniqueness.
Cloth hat.
Yes.
Hey, I see. Let me take a number.
He said they are made in different brim sizes and with different materials like felt, which is mostly used fabric, suede, and rare leather. So Martin Kpebu is in vogue indeed. So thank you very much, Crystal Aye, for that one. And this one here says, good morning. I am particularly happy that confidence has returned to the judiciary. You say that even NPP faithfuls have now seen the light. Progress we must. Evans Ibn Samba from Laura, thank you very much. Says, kudos to Lawyer Amaliba for being consistent and truthful on this Kpandai issue. Please kindly ask him why Honorable Matthew Nyandam cannot hold himself as MP for now. Dr. Zaato is also making my day with his fantastic analysis. Anyway, if the law is the law, you say the bees are also the bees. Master planner,
Exactly.
junior,
The bees are the bees.
policy
Whether
analyst,
village or city
King
bees.
Tampo.
All bees
Thank
be
you
bees.
very much for your message
All bees are bees.
this morning. This one here also says that Abbas Amogo in Offenso. It says that from what we are seeing now, if things continue this way, it says the NPP will be a thing of the past. Let's focus on how we can support, it says, the country to grow. Thank you very much for your messages this morning. And then a number of you watching us as well on Facebook. I've got some messages on Facebook and on X as well on this matter. Yao February on Facebook says, the question is, did the court write to Parliament to declare Kpandai seat vacant, for the clerk to write to the EC for declaring Kpandai seat vacant? If the court did not act so, then the clerk of Parliament has the basis to write to the Electoral Commission and say, well,
It's not the court that writes.
so that's just a
It's the one
clarification.
who won the case, who serves the process of Parliament.
Okay, thank you very much for answering him on that. So, Yao, you have the answer to the question. Yao February, thank you very much for the message. Now, this week, the Attorney General, Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Akuretenga Ayeni, addressed the press. In fact, it was just a couple of days ago, giving us an update on Kenneth Nanayo Foriata and then also Ernest Akore, that's his chief of staff. They are out of the jurisdiction. And he says, well, he has his office has submitted the documents for the extradition of Kenneth Ofori-Atta and Esther Corey to the U.S. authorities. What happens after today, much of it is out of his control. And so we just have to wait. There are questions about, what could have been done within his control. And that's going to be another aspect of the conversation. But this is what the Attorney General said earlier in the week on the latest.
Handling this Kane case, it may end up being like oral. It may all end up just being a very lost case. And I'm hoping it doesn't get it.
What's a very low street?
No.
I'm saying I'm afraid.
He's my
afraid.
brother.
He allows me.
No,
he allows me. Justice is allowed. He's allowed. Solomon is not allowed. Kpebu is not allowed. Very discriminatory. So I'm afraid that the way they are handling both of them, because I see a lot of complicity in what is happening here. My brother Martin has always thought that one of the first time he got a case with OSP is that he allowed Ken to leave. Yes, he's legitimate in saying that. I agree with that. But then the other question then I also ask is that the Attorney General knew he alone had the power to apply for extradition. Probably he knew that. Why did he also wait until December to apply for an extradition? I see some complicity there. Both are complicit. Why now?
Okay.
So why now? Because the question I'm asking is that even if this guy was handling it, and there's a difference between independent and collaboration. Independent bodies collaborate. In fact, sometimes to be an effective independent body, we call it public arm's length organizations, they have to collaborate to survive. So if you are Attorney General, I'm not saying dictate to OSP that do this, no. But if you know the law, and as you are the custodian of it right now, and you know that you alone or you have a bigger power to call for an extradition, if the guy is not doing it, did you reach out? Because see, there was one time there was some quibbling between the two of us.
There was a question that I asked the Deputy Attorney General. And because extradition requests cannot be done in oblivion, he requested the docket from the OSP. It took quite a while. And the Deputy Attorney General came publicly to let us even know that they had requested information from the OSP and it wasn't coming. So that is just to answer the question.
So for me, so if it's taking 1 year, my point is that no matter how the administrative process works, it shouldn't take 1 full year for us to extradite somebody that we believe strongly has some serious questions to answer. That aspect, it talks about some inefficiency and ineffectiveness, and it doesn't help us. So please, whatever it was, to wait for 1 full year to be asking for this, I find it very problematic. Yes, you see, organizational inertia and organizations can give excuses. Some of them may be legitimate, others will not. But for both officers, for these two powerful officers to sit down and then only wait until now to ask for this is problematic. 2, since this government has come to power, they've done very well in their collaboration with the FBI and law enforcement agencies in the United States. And it has led to, they have sent about 1 or 2 people.
Am I mistaken to believe that this is the first time I'm hearing you praise this government?
No.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm a big fan of the Big Push. I said it here. I really love Big Push.
Yes.
I want to see it, and I've said that. And I've also said that the government is responsible for some of the economic decisions they made.
Thank you.
But that 24 hour is calm and others. Okay, let me come back. The government has extradited some Ghanaians already to the United States.
Absolutely.
And they were working.
Exactly.
And they were working with the FBI to collect Shatawole's car, which I don't think they should collect that car. The point here is, why didn't they make a request for the repatriation of Sedina Tamaklu, who has actually been convicted of a crime? You have a woman there who has been convicted. In this case, you are not saying bring her back, let me prosecute her. No. The Court of Competent Decision has found her guilty. Now the Americans are saying, send us this man to prosecute the person. I think it should be a very easy, straightforward cut-off negotiation. Listen, hey, we've given you 1, 2 people. Now we also return the good faith. Show us good faith. The next person you want, put Sedinam on the flight. We also put this man on the flight. If you put Sedinam on the flight, United Airlines in Washington, D.C., and we also put this person on the flight in Kotoka here, they will land at the same time. The inability or unwillingness of this government to exercise that option smacks of a certain level of cover-up or a certain level of unwillingness to bring that woman down. And for me, it cuts to the core of all this that is happening. It looks like all this thing happened at shenanigans and it's upsetting because look, right now there's another person they're asking for, Tracy or what the guy they are looking for now. The Americans are looking for somebody now.
Abu Trika.
Is he still in Ghana?
Yeah.
The Attorney General, why can't tomorrow the Attorney General come and say yes? We will put this trick online if and only if you also at least either you send us Ken or you send us Sadinam for the full trading for one of these people.
Okay, so the Attorney General was asked this question.
Yes.
He gave an answer.
Yes.
I want you to listen to the
Thank you, I'll listen to it.
Good. Let's take a listen to the Attorney General on this matter of, okay, if Abu Trika is going to be extradited, then he should leverage that and ask for some collaboration from the U.S. authorities to also get Ken Ofori-Atta back into the country. He referenced this same 1931 treaty and the conditions therein. Take a look.
Documentation to ensure completeness. On December 9th, 2025, the Office of the Special Prosecutor provided a requested additional documentation and addressed the observations that we raised. There, we communicated these observations to the Office of the Special Prosecutor via a letter dated 25th November 2025 and requested supplementary documentation to ensure completeness. On December 9th, 2025, the Office of the Special Prosecutor provided a requested additional documentation and addressed the observations that we raised. There, we communicated these observations to the office. You will recall that the Office of the Special Prosecutor investigated acts of corruption and corruption-related offenses by the former finance minister and his accomplices and proceeded to file charges in the High Court of Justice against them. On November 19th, 2025, that is this year, my office received a formal request from the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate extradition proceedings for Kenneth Ofori-Atta and NS Darko Akore from the United States of America. Following a preliminary review, our International Cooperation Unit observed that certain aspects of the request required clarification and enhancements to align with the applicable legal and procedural requirements. We communicated these observations to the Office of the Special Prosecutor via a letter dated 25th November 2025 and requested supplementary documentation.
Entire process and how this has been.
And if something of such magnitude, you already know it, you can expedite it. So my question is that yes, whether you are lost or no. But the question is whether it is there.
In fairness, Doc, the differences was with the format that the AG wanted the docket to be. The OSP presented the docket in a particular format.
Yes.
But the AG wanted it in another way.
So
these were the
format alone took 1 full year. That's
it was important.
I'm not saying it's not important. No.
And
Justice, okay, you've done it now. Let me go ahead.
Okay, very well.
Format is important. I'm not saying it, but I'm saying that if format alone takes 1 full year, then there's I see administrative inertia and effectiveness. That's my point. But this Tamaklo case, I'm saying that again, right now it's not too late. In this particular, it's not too late. The man is here. The guy they want is here. You can bargain because you see sometimes it's international issue. You can draw a hard bargain. That's what I'm saying. Again, we are not. This woman cannot say, "Oh, if I go to Ghana, they won't treat me fairly." Well, you've already been convicted. This woman cannot say, "I'm afraid of my shadow in Ghana." No, you've been convicted. And also to add to the AG's negotiation, he can make the case that look, you committed these crimes when the NDC was in power. Your political opponents were the NPP, so maybe you were afraid that if the NPP got you, they will multitude. NPP is out of power. NDC is back to you. The people who appointed you then are here. Some of them are actually still the appointed authority. So my point is that if the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana goes ahead to send this young man there, would that at least bring him back one of the two people we need, either Sedinam or Ken, he would have been doing this nation a great disservice.
Okay.
If he goes ahead and does it, I'm saying the man is still here. We are not in a hurry. You can put him in jail. You can put him wherever. Don't send this man and receive nothing and empty-handed. If you're sending him, send both of them. If you don't do that, you will have failed this country, and we have failed this country in a very, 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 very big way.
Manasseh Azore Awoni is an investigative journalist. He's also joining us on Zoom on this particular matter as well, because he's done quite some work with regard to this SML, which is a subject of investigation as well as the prosecution against or of Kenneth Anayo Ofori-Atta. In fact, it's in that case that you have the 78 charges and others slapped on him and Esther Corey. Manasseh is joining us.
Manasseh, the US that they will not extradite a police officer because of that. So we can use this as an example. Send this person. Also send this person.
Hold on. Manasseh, can you unmute for me? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And Mr. Lomon, also, this is what the Attorney General has given to us in terms of the updates. What is of issue is whether the days after this particular request for extradition of Kenneth Ofori-Atta should be left solely to the discretion and the period that the U.S. authorities will work on, because that's what he says. He says much of it is outside of his control. So there are no timelines. We can't even tell when it's going to come. Professor Bafaj-Mendia, based on his experience and knowledge of this extradition processes, it can take quite a while. And so it appears we may have to wait for a long time with Kenneth Ofori-Atta hiring top lawyers to fight this.
There is no top lawyer that can defend a criminal and succeed.
But you can't actually call him a criminal.
No, I'm just, I've not said he's a criminal.
You are not referencing, this statement is not in direct reference to
No. If it is reference, I'll say it.
Okay,
but the point is that if you have stolen, you have stolen. If the country knows that Mr. ABCD has stolen and you have caught him red-handed, no amount of advocacy from a lawyer will save the situation if truth will prevail. If the government does not push, they must push the United States of America to do what is right. We cannot be saying that someone is sitting on our billions and you hide under the cover of laws in the US and say that he must remain there while these twinkle latest Abu Trika and Co are only taking under 10 million, you come and quickly give them. No. But you see, Alfred, why we are where we are today is that our legislative arm has disappointed this country.
What do you mean?
The parliament of the last administration, the 7th and the 8th parliament, we must heap all the blames on them for not defending the integrity of this country. Kenneth Ofori-Atta, are you surprised with it? With what is happening? In 1999, 1998, the Obotan Development Limited scandal, that criminality, that took away $2.4 million from Snitch. Everyone who mattered in Ghana's politics knew of that. Some of us in 2017, when he was going for vetting, we petitioned Parliament that do not approve this man because SFO investigation has revealed that he has to be prosecuted for swindling the whole state institution.
You reference which SFO reported?
SFO report, I'll get you the report. I mean, SFO did a comprehensive report on the Obotan Development Limited when they created the impression that they were going to put up assets. Here, this, your...
So what was the response of Parliament's Appointments Committee based on this?
They wouldn't even have courtesy to respond to you. They did not ask a single question on that matter. They approved him to be your Minister of Finance. That came, we thought that the NPP had an overwhelming majority then, so they could pass through. Then, thankfully, the Ghanaians did not do us any evil. They gave us a hung parliament. And here is why I come to the National Democratic Congress. They gave us a hung parliament in 2020. 2021, we went back and told them that do not approve Kenneth Ofori-Atta for he would destroy this country. At that time, I was in the NPP. Interestingly, the man was able to defer his vetting. He went and stayed in the US and they told him that he was sick. The same thing he's doing today. And refused to attend the vetting on time. Interesting, Parliament, overwhelmingly from both sides. They approved of his nomination. So if you had an issue of Obotan having swindled the entire country, and you allow him to get away with it.
You make available that report.
I will make it available. There's everywhere, SFO everywhere. You think he will not have He wouldn't have been emboldened to swindle the entire country in all the scandals we are discussing. You ask, Justice Abdullah ask a simple question. Prof.
So that is it. Enti wutie nkomodidi na. Wutie nkomodidi na sometimes, especially Dr. Zaato. I've been saying say Dr. Zaato enye political analyst. Na mum oye true MPP man. I working for Dr. Alhaji Bawumia. Or working hand in hand with MPP. Because any of his submissions, any of his analysis, it is based on MPP propaganda. And you can attest to that fact, saying, some of the bio can be ano. Ayana, you say, or can Edmund MPP, Papo Bonio, and Tiana Utie, the commenter, and go for Ediba program, so after the cancer, the majority of them, it talks about Dr. Zaato. Also, Shasia. Na or can now team no I think say will make a lot of sense, but it be reaching na a lot of trash. You get me? And where am who say MPP for there, they will be in opposition because some MPP for we said they have Abraham Amaliba kind. Some MPP for no moti akumya so NDC for requesting for Sadia and there is no way say omobe don be kwashi this high court ruling na Supreme Court e kwashi. And absolutely no way because classical example bra jachi kwesi die ebaye almost with dual citizenship owura no mo frustrated ma even the president of the land then Nana Addo Akufo-Addo ekogina ni mpesua so making emphatically say owura no court any bedi and he will be dealt with. You get it? And you know it shows say some people for our power. It depends on how they control the judiciary. NDC for also our power. It depends on how they control the judiciary. But this very ruling this very judgment it has shown a whole lot of things among who say this administration is meant for what? Business and meant for what? Resetting this country. It did be on the Kajo Mahamonam Uheni Dimina how we see any the way a man how he speaks and how we see a comporting honor. You can attest to that for say papa no to say on for gun is unlike the public film and or the gun is edware ewuwiemu or the gun is a whole lot of things. Yes, the kind of but my minchi obi energy for money. Mobile you represent Akufo-Addo in 2021 has come to be corrected. No, 2022. Echo high aeroplane, helicopter. No helicopter. A private jet. Now 1 hour piano. 1 hour piano. Now it cost 15,000 euros. 1 hour. He spent 3 days. According to Okujeto Ablakwa, foreign minister. Foreign affairs minister. Now a private jet. Washroom room, bibia room, I would spend time with him, not old very weird. So that is it. It is what it is. So, Mama kind of home. This administration is meant for business and Mama in a mumpire because Ghana young people from quantity, million people, million DC, maybe I will send NDC. But to be frank with me, me to about my NDC that, me to about my MPP that. That is the truth. But my main kind of question fanchero. Ghana hey, me family to me can go top it to obi human beings as a matter auto about qualify. We say, and one so quite a price in Swatia. It affects all of us. It had a mumpire or mining peacefully. And people from go position more top it to. There's nowhere in the poop, my two poku prempe. Then running mate Dima Dr. Alhaji Bawumia. Ebe to the car, they are called filling station. Or maybe sans the one now yet running mate Dima Bawumia now can send baby. And for that matter, the beton to number 1 liter 17 cities. Or Munkasa. In Jaden, I am on Pineco and you need now. And then first, Akufo-Addo edition, President Akufo-Addo edition. 2020, according to statistics, Ghana Health Service. About 20,000 nurses left this country. Yes. seeking for greener pasture because no more person muko eko pay niyama ebe bomo brabo be shift. I mean it will shape their life for betterment. But then I can attest to the fact that we are but who said niyama ekoso kakra. NDC for ya de na nya me ba beka and I've told you say Kilufurata NPP for NDC for ampa Kilufurata moko ma the lose 2028 election maka to hono NDC for ampa Kilufurata ma they will lose 2028 election and there will be no disputed. I'm telling you because Kilufurata must come to Ghana either he likes it or not. He must come and be accountable to Ghanaians. Nti sana nkomodidi na akoyabusunye nyankopon hira wate na onka ho abrebia mo supporting Mega TV. Ye ko 2026 mumu ame because Christmas ani komunya subscribe ya dimibro ya just subscribe what you say subscribe na share na afoforo nye ebife a way of appreciating me or a way of showing me love. So we do bibia say especially more subscribe to this very channel. Nyankopon hira. Bye bye.